Are you using a 529 plan to help save up for your kids or maybe grandkids' future college expenses? I've got 3 practical tips to help you use that even better. That and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Are you using a 529 plan to help with your kids or grandkids' future college expenses? Now, as I say that, I almost want to then just open up the can of worms, because the 529 plan is now much more than a college account. You can use it for primary school tuition, K through 12. You can use it for you can use it for student loans, even up to a certain limit once in your lifetime. And then now the big news, starting right now this year, 2024, after a lot of criteria are met, a lot of rules are checked off, you can move dollars from a 529 plan to a Roth IRA for that student as well. We're waiting on some of the interpretation on all of those rules, but we've done lots of videos on it. It's a planning idea that you need to consider. But let's go simple today. Let's with all the complexity and all the changes with the 529 plan, let's just get practical, because I've been having a few more of these questions recently, and also have one of these tips that is impacting my life personally. So what are some practical tips for the 529 plan as you're using it for college? First practical tip is make sure that you're getting the full state tax benefit for using your state's 529 plan. That's right. Not every state offers a state tax incentive for using the 529 plan, but many of them do. And this is one of the mistakes that we see from a lot of new folks as they reach out to us and want to start a financial planning relationship, and we're looking at all areas of their financial life and their big financial goals. And whether that college goal is helping with 100%, whether it's helping with a certain dollar amount, a certain percentage, or, well, we've got some resources, we'll save what we can, and we'll see how far that goes. Looking and seeing, well, does your state offer a 529 plan? All of them do, but really, does your state offer a state tax incentive or a state tax benefit for using their 529 plan? If so, what are the rules? And make sure you're getting the maximum amount of state tax benefit. Here in Indiana, where our headquarters is in northern Indiana, they recently made a change. It is, not shy to say, I think it's the very best state tax incentive of any 529 in any state. That is, you get a 20% state tax credit on the first $7,500 that you contribute. Now, this is per tax return, so if you've got 3 kids, it doesn't apply $7,500 for each of the kids. It's just per tax return, but 20% state tax credit on up to $7,500 that you contribute to a 529 plan. That's $1,500. That's a significant tax savings and tax benefit. Now, anytime I've shared that, I get questions, well, I don't live in Indiana. Can I get that benefit if I use Indiana's plan? Well, it's a credit against Indiana state tax. So if you don't pay Indiana state tax, then that benefit is you won't receive that. So, but that's a really big benefit. Now, it was just a couple of years ago, it was 20% on the first $5,000. 20% on the first $5,000, and therefore it's still $1,000 is the maximum tax credit under those old rules. Still fantastic. But if you're saving up for college or helping kids and grandkids and not aware that the credit stayed the same, 20%, but the amount that the credit applied on increased from $5,000 to $7,500, then you're no longer maxing it out, and that's a big mistake. Again, we're our headquarters northern Indiana. We've got a couple offices in Michigan. Michigan, it's different. It's a deduction, a state tax deduction on the first $10,000 if you use Michigan's plan. And so every state has their own 529 plan. Not all states offer state tax incentives, but in your state, you want to know what those tax benefits potentially could be, and you want to use your state's plan to the maximum benefit for you. Second practical tip when using a 529 plan, and this is more of a planning approach, or at least a planning tip than anything, and that is continue to fund the 529 plan while your child or grandchild is in college. That's right. And oftentimes as we're doing planning for folks that we serve, with college for that goal, the planning software that's used, it typically assumes you're going to save right up until they're a senior in high school, and then as soon as they enter college, you're done saving. Well, to me, that doesn't seem practical. There hasn't been a lot of people where that's been the case. I get it that maybe you're not saving into the 529 plan or using that cash flow that you were saving, and now you're just using that money to pay for college expenses. I get that. But again, going to this first practical tip, if there's a state tax incentive for funding your 529 plan, and it's not a net contribution amount, Michigan's is, by the way, then make sure that you consider funding that 529 plan even while that child is in school. The other reason to consider doing that is, again, the 529 plan works like the Roth IRA, but for college. So your contribution at a federal level, there's no tax benefit for that, but all of the investment activity within, so interest earned or dividends, that's all sheltered from tax, doesn't land on your tax return, and then as you pull the dollars out, if you're using it for qualified educational expenses, it comes out tax-free. So again, a practical suggestion with the 529 plan is, even as they're a freshman, still continue to fund the 529 plan if it makes sense for your plan, because you've got 2 to 3 years where those dollars could still be growing or earning interest tax-free, as opposed to, I've seen this before, where people think, well, I've opened up a bank account that I call college, and now we're just putting money in there. Well, that bank account might not be earning interest, and if it is, that interest is taxable to you, versus a 529 plan, interest will be tax sheltered and come out tax-free. All right, and the third practical tip and use case for the 529 plan is near and dear to what's going on in my life right now, and that is offering that to other family members, that they contribute to the 529 plan for your child instead of giving them gifts, or instead of just giving them tangible gifts. And I know that didn't come out quite right, but I think you get the overall idea. Our oldest recently became a teenager, and I'm so thankful for this, that many years ago, my folks just, when the kids were little and you would get them toys, then they got them toys. But as my folks then looked around and were like, they got a lot of toys, and by the way, they play with them once and just are bored with them. We're actually going to still get one gift that they can open, but then the rest of the dollars that we were going to use to buy presents, we'll just contribute that to a 529 plan. Do you have a college account set up for them? And of course, their son's a financial planner, and so yes, we do. And if you'd like to do that, that's absolutely no problem. My folks live in a state that doesn't have state tax, and therefore it doesn't make sense for them to open their own 529 plan and fund it, and they instead have just contributed to our own, to the 529 plan that my wife and I have set up for the kids. And if you're interested in numbers, I have no problem sharing that. It's not a ton of money. It's just about $300 every birthday for each of the kids they put into their 529 plan. Over 18 years, that ends up adding up. Now, is that going to buy a year's worth of college? Of course not. But is it going to help with books? Is it going to help with, some of the expenses? Sure, it adds up, especially with, again, that tax-deferred growth. So, yeah, you're probably not going to send a text message to everyone that you invite to your one-year-old's, their one-year birthday party and say, hey, don't give gifts. Instead, donate to the 529 plan. But to certain family members where you can be that open, encouraging them, or they may ask. So maybe you're listening to this saying, maybe we should ask our kids if we should donate to the 529 plan for our grandkids. But much better use of resources than just, again, buying toys that eventually don't really last or have a very long shelf life. Obviously, 529 plan does. So there you go. Those are 3 practical tips, really simple use cases for a 529 plan, as right now we're approaching graduation season and lots of kids graduating from high school or starting to look at colleges and all that sort of stuff. So work with your certified financial planner. Ensure that you're using that 529 plan if that's the right plan for you, and that you know how much you should be funding in order to reach your financial goals as it relates to educating your kids and grandkids. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.